So I am officially live. All right. Greetings from my living room. Okay. So we have 24 hours left until the Chakra Academy officially closes. And most importantly, I really wanted to touch on some things because, like, if you haven't noticed, it's been Chakra Month at the Awaken State. And I really wanted to dive really deep head first into the chakras, how much the chakras have influenced my spiritual awakening, basically all the things in terms of understanding how to open your chakras, how to look at what the heck even are the chakras. And at this point in the game, if you've been following along, you know, I hope that over this last month that you've really learned like a ton about how you can gain more awareness with the chakras, how you can start to use the chakras in your life, how you can see how when you open your chakras, you can have so many like different profound shifts that you probably didn't even think about in terms of just spiritual awakening. And I think one of the hugest things that, you know, I hope you've gathered since we've dived headfirst into all this different information on the chakras is you can see how it can play a vital role in your spiritual awakening and most importantly, your healing journey. And one thing I really just wanted to come on here and talk about a lot was how much the chakras have influenced me as a person through my spiritual awakening and through the Ascension Symptoms especially. I really believe wholeheartedly that a lot of my Ascension symptoms cleared up profusely since doing chakra work. And I think that it's funny because you can start to see how when you think about the chakras, a lot of people are only thinking about it from this very, very surface level concept. And because of that, we can start to like, we almost like dissociate it away from our physical life. And I think it's funny because a lot of people will like kind of create so much separation between their spiritual identity and their physical identity, and how you can start to like, you have to realize that it's an interconnected system like everything else. And I think when we come at the chakras from this very surface level where we're only thinking about, you know, I have to wear the right colors and I have to like, you know, make sure I get the right crystals and I have to do like all of these different things. When we're coming at it from this very surface level lens, we're neglecting like, it's like the tip of the iceberg and we're not seeing all the stuff that's underneath the iceberg that is under the water, under the surface. We're not seeing into our mental awareness, our body awareness, our habits. We're not seeing the whole picture. And what we don't realize is, especially when it comes to spiritual awakening, there is so much to unpack when it comes to having a spiritual awakening. And the chakras kind of give you almost a name, a label. It helps illustrate to you why those ascension symptoms are occurring. And it can kind of give you a beautiful mind-body map of your emotions and those physical symptoms as they're coming up. And I think for me, one of the hugest things that really helped cement this concept was when I started to realize I could bridge the spiritual self and the physical self. And I stopped kind of dissociating this concept of where I was like in this mentality of like my spiritual self is over here and my physical life is way over here. And these things don't interconnect. And I remember there was this distinct moment when I was having like going through spiritual awakening. And I remember being like, but wait a minute, like the whole concept of being grounded, being really rooted in your body is enabling the body awareness. It's connecting those spiritual downloads you receive and realizing you can translate them into your physical life and use them for your physical life. And one of the huge missing links for me was when I started to have all these symptoms come up where I'd feel really anxious or I'd feel really like out of body, or I'd have those visualizations of like the sudden visions and all of these mental disturbances would happen to me. I started to realize, oh, my throat chakra is like really communicating to me. And then I would start to tune into like, okay, my third eye right now is really overactive. And now it's it's completely time to make sure I ground and root and do like really mundane things so I can ground and root back into my body. And it started to create kind of like what I would call really like a map of understanding, just like, okay, so I'm having all of this anxiety come up. I'm having all this overwhelm come up. I'm having like emotional sensitivity coming up for me. Rather than hiding out in my higher chakras, this is the time to ground back into those lower chakras and start working on snapping back into my body, doing things that create more movement for myself. So I'm out of the monkey mind. What really occurred is I started to notice that there's a pattern here of a lot of what happens during a spiritual awakening. And I just want to stop because I'm like talking nonstop. Hi. If you're watching, please say hi. Where are you from? We are live here, and it is the final day for the Chakra Academy. If you are interested in enrolling, I'll leave the links down below for you. If you are interested in diving headfirst into the chakra system, the thing I'm really talking about today is I want to just really bring some awareness on how much you can connect the chakras to ascension symptoms. And I think this can shed so much, like a ton of light for you on how you can properly understand what is going on, how you can start to change it, how you can start to work with it. And as a result, it helps you so much more on learning how to properly manage those symptoms. And that's what I really want to talk about with you today is really, so what I was getting at is if you think about the chakras as a whole are how you interconnect your spiritual self and your physical self. And what usually occurs during spiritual awakening is you have all this information starting to come to you, but you know, you're also dealing with the paradigm of where you didn't really believe in any of this. So when you first have a spiritual awakening, it's kind of like you can have a bunch of like mental disturbance of where you have like all of a sudden you have racing thoughts, and then all of a sudden you have visions pop up into your head, or you start to have like even a hallucination of some sort. Like you're starting to tap into these higher realms of consciousness that you didn't even know existed before. And so like all of your higher chakras are basically coming online. And what occurs is you have this influx of energy just starting to appear out of nowhere, whereas before that was very dormant and like inactive. So all your chakras start to like literally open up and turn on, and you're just like, it's like you're driving in the middle of the like a highway, and all of a sudden you're like, shit, there's incoming traffic. I gotta learn how to navigate. I have to put my foot on the gas. I don't know what I'm doing, but we gotta just do it anyway. It's that mentality of like, oh, things are happening at such a rapid pace that I have to pay attention. I have to figure out what's going on. And this influx of energy is very taxing on the nervous system, because it's like all of a sudden you have all of this eruption of energy coming online. Whereas before you may have just been living in those lower chakras, like on survival mode with your base programming, and then all of a sudden you're opening up to different realms of consciousness and different realms of understanding the world. You start to question your beliefs. You start to question, is everything real? Is nothing real? It starts to flood your system with so much information. And this can cause so much anxiety or like disturbance, or where you just feel kind of dissociated from your body because you don't want to deal with that perception anymore. And what occurs is you're living in those higher chakras. And so a lot of people who are sensitive or very empathetic, or they're having problems with hyper empathy or overactive empathy, anything like that, that mentality will keep you in those higher chakras where you're not allowing yourself to really anchor in the lower chakras, which is, you know, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root chakra. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it can be like a coping mechanism almost, where you're hanging out in those higher chakras and all of that's super overactive for you because you're almost unwilling to allow yourself to be in your body, essentially, because it's like you're getting overtaxed by all of this different energy that the lower chakras don't seem as friendly, I guess you could say. So it's like you're living in those higher chakras and the higher planes of consciousness, But one of the hugest things that you can do for your spiritual awakening is start to learn to ground those out and to start bringing that information and grounding it out back into your body and into the physical world. So I always like to say it's like this concept, and I've gotten this vision numerous times. It's like when we have a spiritual awakening, what a lot of times happens is we have the download, we have that intuitive hit, we have all this information coming to us on how to navigate, how to heal, how to let go, how to clear. And what instead occurs is we either freeze in inaction, we don't listen to our intuition because we haven't been taught that, or we just second guess ourselves and completely go into the opposite mode of overthinking. And when we have that download, and as it occurs, what instead happens is we're like, oh shit, like I have to take the action now, or oh shit, like I need to change my relationship right now, or I have to drop this friendship. I don't know if I want to do that. And what occurs is we don't listen to those signals. We don't listen to that intuitive nudge. And what happens is it's like that information keeps coming down, but it has nowhere to travel. And so it's kind of like your energy is like a funnel. And when you have alignment is created by literally free-flowing energy. So if you have your chakras as this funnel and you have all this information and this intuition and all of this stuff in this higher realms of consciousness, all this stuff is starting to come towards you, you're not allowing yourself to process that and literally ground it back into the physical world, into your physical life, into the physical self, when you keep overcompensating it. So it's kind of like when we have all these symptoms come up, what happens for a lot of people is that stuff gets like literally stuck in the chakras and it doesn't have anywhere to travel. So it's like it just stops either in the throat chakra or the heart chakra, and it doesn't travel back through our bodies and into the physical world. So what I like to say is it's almost like a lot of people who have spiritual awakening, what they actually need to be doing is working on the lower chakras, because that's where all the conditioning happens. That's where it's like important to learn how to ground out that energy, to be safe in your body with the root chakra, to focus more on the infinite support of the universe with the root chakra, to focus more on those lower chakra signals, because that allows you to ground out that energy. And as we talked about the funnel, it allows the alignment to naturally start to come, because now when your energy is more aligned and you have that resonant energy, the free-flowing energy, things start to literally enable more of that flow state where you're in your authentic self, you're in your authentic truth, and so you're starting to learn how to essentially clear that up. But what instead occurs for a lot of people is they have spiritual awakening happen. I'm going to take a minute here. So they have spiritual awakening happen, but instead what occurs is we have all these ascension symptoms start to show up. Well, have you ever asked yourself, why do they show up? What is going on? Like, why are you having all of these symptoms? A lot of the times it's coming up because not only are you literally dropping density, like vibrationally, as you're starting to take on all of these new concepts and new ideas and new levels of consciousness, but you're starting to also go through a form of ego death. And that old identity is starting to dissolve and dissipate as the new identity, the new paradigm of self, the new evolved self is starting to come online, because at the forefront of spiritual awakening is literally the evolution of consciousness. So what you're experiencing is the dissolving of that old ego in the merging of the new ego. And because the ego refuses change, the ego hates change, the ego loves its comfort zone, there's going to be a confliction between the old self and the new self. And that's where the symptoms come in. And so what happens is, if you've read my Symptoms of Spiritual Awakening series, what you'll find is that the old self and the new self are kind of like in a tug of war with each other. And this is where the ascension symptoms kind of really wreak havoc on people's lives, because they're not tuning back into the body, they're not tuning back into the intuition, into higher self to heal that. And so what the chakras do so beautifully is it gives you a mind-body map of how to understand what those symptoms are telling you. So, one of the most common symptoms that occurs for many people during spiritual awakening is the heart chakra, and looking at, those heart palpitations where you have like either the tightness in the chest, or you have that immediate sense of like anxiety and overwhelm of like the heart palpitations. And a lot of that's due to the heart chakra either going through an upgrade or a download, or you're just learning how to open up the heart chakra essentially. And so, for example, when we have this anxiety and paranoia and overwhelm and emotional hypersensitivity, all of that is due to the third eye chakra being extremely overactive and open to the point where it's overactive, that it's overwhelming you essentially. And it's kind of like you're picking up too much external stimuli, and from that, you're overactive. So it's like that chakra actually needs to be grounded out. So it's like when we have an overactive chakra, we have too much energy in that chakra, and it needs to be traveled out essentially. So it needs to be like dispersed into a different chakra essentially. So it's like, not to get like too heady, but like when you think about something that's overactive, it's in excess. So if there's too much energy in that chakra, so it needs to be balanced back out, where that, what am I trying to say here? It needs to be released essentially. It needs to be released from that chakra. And so you can start to see how when you have the ascension symptoms come up for you, you can start to literally pinpoint them to particular chakras in the nervous system, and how that particular chakra is showing up can show you so much about what symptoms that you're dealing with, or what you're having trouble with, or what it's really like hard to manage. In that same way, when you have like hallucinations or extreme paranoia, or you feel like the world is out to get you, a lot of that can stem from being ungrounded in the root chakra. And when we have that sense of lack of safety, lack of support, where we feel that we are like the world is out to get us, and we feel kind of this mentality of like the conspiracy theories, and where we feel really unsafe, this can also illustrate that we have a very ungrounded root chakra. We might be triggering ourselves into a survivalistic mind of the fight-flight response. And because of this, that feeling of being ungrounded occurs because either it's too much for the body to handle as you're experiencing those symptoms, or it's literally because you have to make peace of feeling safe in your body and as you go through these symptoms. And what occurs is you can start to see that these little symptoms that we keep having, and they keep showing up and they keep repeating, all of this is due to it's triggering the chakra system. So one thing that I really learned a ton about is the easiest way to manage the ascension symptoms is through the chakra system, because it gives you so much like freedom and tools to explore how you can literally heal those ascension symptoms. When you look at all the different symptoms that appear for you, such as increased anxiety or hypersensitivity, or having those hallucinations, or even, and I don't mean hallucinations like in terms of like, it's like really disturbing. I mean, it's more like you're having visions, you're having clairaudience or clairsentience, or you're experiencing literally one of your psychic senses opening up, but you're not fully coherent with what's happening. So it just appears as a hallucination to you, but it's actually just your third eye literally turning on and communicating to you. And that's for a whole other conversation. I'm not going there. When we think about in terms of really looking at the survival mind and seeing how the symptoms keep appearing in the body, we could even safely say that a lot of the times the ascension symptoms really come up not only because of the changes to the ego, but also because we may have a dysregulated nervous system, and that shows up in the body. And it shows up through the ascension symptoms because the nervous system is going through so much change and so much acceleration of growth so rapidly that it kind of becomes a little bit taxing on the nervous system, and how we go through that, and how we what really is going on is all this stuff is coming up to be cleared and healed. And so a lot of times we have those ascension symptoms because we're literally making peace of our past and cleaning up that base programming, that old paradigm programming, the old conditioning, you know. And what occurs is we have the ascension symptoms come up because it says it's time to heal this. Our soul is saying it's time to heal this. It's time to let go. It's time to really like be in the evolved consciousness, 5D consciousness. And so this clearing occurs because all of the ascension symptoms are saying it's time to heal. It's time to let go. It's time to accept change. And the ascension symptoms literally are rooted in those chakras. So what I'm getting at here is the more that you start to understand the chakra system, it becomes so much easier to manage the ascension symptoms because you have literally the tools to do so. It's no longer a game of like, do I need to ground today, or I should work on my boundaries and fend off the energy vampires. It's not about that at all. And instead, it's rather about learning how to regulate your nervous system so you feel safe in your body. And it's about learning to manage and open your chakras so they are balanced and free-flowing so you experience more alignment. And that alignment can create so many magical things, such as more abundance. It can create the feeling of safety and support in your body. It can help you feel like your third eye is more balanced so your intuition naturally increases. It can make you feel like your crown chakra is more expansive to bliss or feelings of euphoria, or even that feeling of where everything is peaceful and content in your life, because the crown chakra helps you realize the peacefulness of reality. In terms of looking at which one? The solar plexus chakra, when we start to work on the solar plexus chakra, it really opens up how we take action and how we influence our lives through our decisions and our habits. So when we start to learn how to take the symptoms that we're experiencing, and then we start applying them to the chakra system, and then we start seeing how we can manage things so much easier, this becomes a different conversation than just feeling that the ascension symptoms are ruling your life and everything's out of control and you're powerless over circumstance. This is rooted in not feeling regulated in your body and not having proper energy management tools to literally learn how to manage those symptoms. And what I teach a lot in the Chakra Academy is we go deep into each of the chakras, the different tools you can use for the symptoms that as they appear and arise, and you can also feel into whatever is coming up for you, what is surfacing for you. You can use the chakras to essentially rebalance and realign your nervous system. And this is where the magic really happens, because it's in that repatterning process that you can start to allow in more abundance. You start to allow in better boundaries. You have that, the more aligned action starts to show up. I literally just had one of my clients say in our group today that she was so proud of herself for, she realized that she finally understood aligned action, and that she was tuning into her solar plexus and allowing her sacral to guide her. And it was just a really cool description. And you can see how this work really does have an effect the more you use it. And you can see how it helps with understanding the chakras, because it kind of just gives you like, okay, so I know that aligned action is through the solar plexus. And so you can start to realize that it's like, if I'm not experiencing aligned action, maybe I do need to do some solar plexus work and work on, either my issues with control, or I need to work on, do I feel like I'm pushing the outcome? Where can I allow myself to be in the space where I can start to balance that chakra? And so that's really what we teach a lot in the Chakra Academy. So the Chakra Academy is a group coaching experience. There are 4 live support calls, and these are going to be 2 a month. So it's a 2-month program, 8 weeks, with 2 calls per month. And you can ask me questions. There is chakra strategy sessions where you can just kind of get like an in-depth analysis on like sharing with me what you're going through and what you need to work on. And it's just going to be an interesting time where we get to learn a lot about the chakras and really look into mind-body healing from a place of manifestation and sustainable healing. And so a lot of what makes my work really different is I teach a lot on the mind-body connection. At the forefront of everything I do, I talk about the mind-body connection, because understanding the mind-body connection is where we can create real sustainable healing in the body. A lot of teachers will only focus on mindset work, or we only focus on really somatic dance or any of that. And all of those are great. But what I found is when you really connect the mind-body connection and allow that to infiltrate the way that you're taking action, this is where real change can occur in the body, because you're not just doing the mindset work and then it gets filtered out by the subconscious. And you're not just doing the body work where you're forgetting to connect to the mindset work. And instead you're kind of using both as a system, and you're allowing that to be the driving force in your life. And this is where you can start to experience more abundance, because this is where you're literally rewiring your nervous system through the mind-body connection. And the mind-body connection is literally how we create reality. The mind-body connection is all about how we create reality, because it's linking the mind, our thoughts, with our actions, our body, and our feelings from our body. And then we allow ourselves to take action from that place of vibrationally in our body, and that vibration sustains into a habit. And so it's all about our thoughts create our feelings, create our actions, create our habits, create who we are as a person, our personal identity. And so what I really take you through is a process on how to reverse engineer that. So within the Chakra Academy, we go really heavily into how you can use the chakras from the mind-body level to create your own authentic version of success. And so it's a really awesome course if you are interested in chakra work and energy healing. It's a great course if you have a hard time with you're feeling stuck on a particular issue, or maybe you're having a hard time with moving forward through something. It can help you a lot if you're having a really hard time with managing those ascension symptoms. I highly recommend the chakras for ascension symptoms. It's been transformational in my own life. And I also just want to say here that the Chakra Academy, this is the final day. It was supposed to end yesterday, but I just decided to be you know what? I'm just going to leave it open one more day, because I just feel like there's someone out there who needs this work. There's someone out there who I know this could truly help. And when soul speaks and soul communicates, I just wanted to be I need to leave it open one more day. I don't know why, but I just need to do it. So it is open for less than 24 hours now. So if you are interested in working together with the Chakra Academy, group coaching support, you can get all the information down below. I will drop a link for you. And you can also find information on the website. And finally, one thing I also want to just touch on in terms of understanding ascension symptoms and the chakras and the mind-body connection. If you are just interested in dipping your toes in, but you're not fully committed to the academy, I do have a meditation that's a very low-cost meditation. It's called the Chakra Realignment Meditation. It's one of our top-selling programs at the Awakening School, and it's a great tool if you are interested in learning about clearing work, but you've never heard of it before, or you just want to dip your toes in. It's a great meditation for realignment. And I love this particular meditation because it works with the chakras, and it works with visualization and clearing work, and dives more heavily into how you can create more realignment. And one thing I've done in the past is I'll just do this meditation on repeat, and I'll notice some tremendous shifts just automatically, just from allowing myself to be in that headspace of where I'm clearing the chakras and I'm opening up the chakras and showing essentially my nervous system that, I'm grounding and tuning into my alignment and this really creates almost like a recalibration process. So I know I always talk a lot about like sometimes meditation isn't the answer, but with this meditation, what I really want to emphasize is I talk a lot about it goes through clearing, which is a little bit different than just the standard meditation. So if you are interested in just dabbling in the chakras, I have that meditation. There's also the quiz on our website. And I would just also like to say that this is our official ending to Chakra Madness. I'm going to be moving on to some very interesting projects, including a membership, which I am so pumped about. So stay tuned for that. This is the first time I've ever mentioned it. So if you are watching, that's what we're up to. And so I'm going to be diving into a membership. As I said, the Chakra Academy final day today, and I love hearing from you guys. So if you have any questions about the Academy or chakra work, I've been seeing some awesome comments on YouTube. That's been so great to see, like, actual people. And I honestly love hearing from people. So please reach out. And I think that's just about it. So if you have questions, drop them below. And if you are interested in working together, you can DM me if you have any final questions about the Academy. There's the meditation. I'll leave all the links below for you. And I hope you guys have a good day.